Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Maddles and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Now today guys, we do have a ladder game. It is between TheoRy, the red Protoss player in the top right position, and VBV's ToXSiK, who is of course the blue Zerg in the lower left position. The map is Cloud Kingdom, and what do we have in store for us? Well, obviously being a PvZ, the Zerg player should go for a 14 to 15 pull into probably about a 16-17 hatch into a third base at 4 to 5 minutes. Generally, getting closer and closer to the 4-minute mark is the meta game for the time being. Meanwhile, out of the Protoss, we should see pylon there. Then, really on Cloud Kingdom, it's 50-50 whether it's worth going for the Nexus first or the Forge first. It's really up to personal choice. Now, the big thing about this map is it's all going to come down to the Zerg's third. Now the reason I say that is because this is a wide open area, it's a long way away from the natural base, and Zerg units kind of have to sit here to be defensive. Then when they come over, you can get force fields down in that area between the hatch and there, which can be awkward. You've also got this back entrance into the Zerg's third base, and if the third base gets picked off in a PvZ, well, really the Zerg players super struggle to come back from it, so that's really why it can lead to some interesting play, and why I reckon we're seeing a good 2-base aggression. It may not be a 2-base all-in, but it will be very, very aggressive from TheoRy. So yeah, wait and see how it all goes down. Now, what I do want to say to everyone is just another reminder, if you have any casts of your own, be it Bronze all the way through to Grandmaster, and you think they are awesome and deserving of being cast, send them to sc2england@hotmail.co.uk. That is, of course, sc2england@hotmail.co.uk. Send them through to that, and if I think they're awesome as well, I'll give them a cast, because I want to cast more subscriber games. If they're lower level matches, then obviously I'll give you more tips, more advice on how to improve. If they're higher level matches, I'll do them more shoutcasts, and yeah, that would just be brilliant. So obviously as well, subscribe, I get new games up daily, leave a cool comment below, blah 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 blah. You all know the drill. There's the third base, well, it's the second base from ToXSiK, purely based to the fact that this probe's blocking his natural, and you see a lot of Zerg players do that, because basically it gives them time to get 2 Zerglings out to come and finish off that probe, there we go, and then just come take the natural, because they know they're going up to 3 bases anyway. Now, looking here, it was a Nexus first build, so obviously TheoRy's going to be in a good economical position. The Overlord there, just getting a good scout off by the timing of that Nexus of the Forge. You know pretty much the timings of everything going down. Sees of course the gateway as well now, so that wall off pretty much complete. The probe going to sit there just ready to wall off should there be any need, but it should all be fine. And now really we should see a drone come down shortly, just ready to go and take that third base. And of course the money just getting all spent at the moment on getting the second queen queued up, which again, you see some Zerg players skip that second queen for just a couple of moments in order to get this base down sooner, which would have been better, because as you can see, he's already got the money there. So that is just a really, really tiny optimization you can go for. Shouldn't have got that second queen, should have built the hatchery first, because he still would have had the money to start it when the next queen was ready. It would have got his own hatchery down about kind of 10-15 seconds sooner, which it might sound minor, but at this level of play can make an absolutely massive difference. Anyway, TheoRy getting his first 2 gas up. We won't see any gas from the Zerg player till roughly about 40 to 50-ish supply, which of course we'll keep an eye on up here. And then obviously 2 gas to start with, just to get the key upgrades. Might see Lair pretty soon. That, again, we're seeing a lot of players get Lair before Zerging speed, because it's just not so useful. Only other key timing you really need to be thinking about as a Zerg is when you get the Rotron and Evolution Chamber, which again, it's good to think about getting that at about the kind of 6-minute, 37-minute mark to defend against any of the big 2-base pushes. Now, looking here, of course, Cybercore coming down. TheoRy doing a good job of just chrono boosting our probes. I'm mad. He's getting a little way ahead in terms of the work count, which is to be expected, but once the third base comes into play, then ToXSiK will obviously start being able to pull that back, and it'll all be fine. So, yeah, we'll just wait and see how this all goes down. We've got some creep spread going on. I personally think it's definitely worthwhile getting an extra queen per base just to spread more creep. Just one queen specifically spreading creep makes such a difference, and every time I see a Zerg player do that, it works so well for them, so do all take that away and think about that. Looking here, we've got the 3rd and 4th gas coming down for TheoRy. We've still got the chrono boost coming down on the Nexus. Of course, the Forge is researching, which can be seen by the Overlord, so knows that the +1 Protoss ground weapons are on their way out. Looking here, we've got the first 2 gas coming down for ToXSiK. Again, the reason you get it at the third base, or indeed the natural, is just that if any scouts come out here, it's difficult to know whether it's 2 or 4 gas, unless they do manage to get into the main base. So that is always important to say, because it does mix up, and increase the number of possible things that the Zerg player could be doing, which obviously that's your aim, is to limit your opponent's ability to deduce what your strategy is. Now, looking here, of course, robotic facility coming down, so there's a 1-gate robo. The Roach War and Evolution Chamber coming down at roughly the 7-minute mark. That is all good as well, so really everything's fine. There, of course, is the lair. We've got no Zergling speed yet. Every timing being hit perfectly at the moment. TheoRy just poking forward with that Zealot Stalker, forcing back the Zerglings for the moment, just being a bit annoying more than anything else. We've got the creep spread going quite comfortably. No more creep spread around here, though, joining the natural and third, which on this map I think can be really, really important because this third base gets so much aggression. Then you need to be able to reinforce as quickly as humanly possible, or as Zergly possible, I guess. Looking here, we've got some more gamers coming in. They are going to all get scouted, though, by that Overlord, which is just happily chilling across the map, suiciding its way in. We'll now know that really it's quite likely that it's going to be a Sentry Immortal all-in. That is really what I'm seeing here, just because Sentries are getting pumped out. That once that second Sentry seen, it does give quite a bit of a giveaway. Obviously, the 3 gateways coming in there, you know, the ones at the front. Know that the +1 attacks coming out. I don't know if the robotic facility was spotted. Let's take a look here. No, it wasn't. So obviously that is the only kind of missing piece of the puzzle. But again, that observer forcing the Overlord back, so that'll prevent some more scouting. And Overseer is morphing mode. And a little cool thing people may not know is that if this Overseer finished morphing before the Stalker manages to kill it, and we'll go back to full health, but it's going to be pretty close, and it does unfortunately die a moment before that with the Sentry's help, so that is very, very unfortunate for the Zerg player there. The lair, of course, is done. We do have the macro hatch coming up, roach speed, the +1 missile attack coming down, 10 roaches coming out, so this is all pretty well predicted. It's not an all-in, though, from the looks of things, because we've got the third base being taken, lots of photon cannons coming down here as well, so we may just see some aggression, really, as opposed to an all-in. We've got, of course, the Twilight counts coming down, and actually production stopped on those Immortals. It was only the one Immortal grab there, so I'm quite surprised by that, and it looks like a complete change of strategy from TheoRy, which may throw ToXSiK off, and especially because he's still producing an awful lot of roaches, he's really gearing up, ready to defend a Sentry Immortal all-in, and it's just not going to come, which means that he's going to basically stop producing drones for a while. He's producing a lot more units. Ideally, he'd want to get up to about 74 workers. And he's nowhere close to that yet. He is now just getting up his 5th and 6th gas, of course, behind this. And he's still pumping units, getting some more drones now, though. So, clearly feeling a bit more safe. I don't know if he did spot that third base. He has. So, obviously, that third base getting spotted was the key thing. Once you see that third base, you know it's not going to be an Immortal Sentry all-in. It may be a bit of aggression, but it won't be an all-in, and that is the important thing to note, because that is really where we saw all of these unit production stop and start going to drones. The tech as well. We've got Burrow coming down as well, which is quite nice. Now, obviously, if you've made a lot of units, make use of them. Go and be aggressive, because otherwise they're just sitting there as unused resources. Don't lose too many. Try and engage cost effectively. But I definitely say poking and prodding is worthwhile. We do have the Templar Archives coming out. Now, that is quite surprising. Usually you see Protoss players against Zerg rush up to Colossi and just utilize those effectively, but High Templar can certainly be very, very strong. We've got the roaches coming in, some good force fields going down, and a lot of those roaches getting trapped, and they're really just going down pretty much for free now, so a good cost-effective engagement for TheoRy there. Didn't really do enough damage for ToXSiK to make it worthwhile. He's had to pull back the rest of those roaches. We do have pathogen glands on the way, as well as the 1-1 melee upgrades, +1 missile already finished. Some of those roaches did burrow, only 2 of them managed to do so though. And now the Templar Archives have now finished. Storm is researching, and yeah, the 4th base coming down for ToXSiK just to try and stay a base up, but for the moment he's on equal bases with the opponent. In worker count wise, he's up to 90-ish workers, which is actually fine. Needs to start thinking about throwing down the Spire and Hive tech. He's getting to about the 12-minute mark. Want to get that before about 13 minutes, in my opinion, in a game like this where you haven't had any aggression. You also need to start thinking spine crawler walls, and that is a game where the creep spread comes in nicely, because where do you build spine crawler walls here? Ideally, you want to be building them along here. There we go. So they're already starting to go down. You need to start thinking about defending your natural base, and you don't need to worry too much about the 3rd, because actually it's quite nicely defended by this 4th base, which will be the focal point of the attacks now. Obviously, looking up, we've got a couple of High Templar coming in. We've got the +2 Protoss ground weapons on their way. There's currently a 1-1 up against, obviously, 1-0 missile attack. The +1 carapace coming down. The +1 melee attack should be finished, I do believe, unless I am completely mistaken. If I can find a Zergling to check this on, I will, or I'll just have to flick down here. No, +1 melee attack is finished. Looking down here, of course, we do now have those rocks getting taken out. fairly quickly, so obviously that's just creating a bit more space, allowing this army to move out more effectively. We've got the 5 Immortals in there, which are pretty strong, with the Storms as well. They're going to really wreck the Zergling Roach composition. A couple of Infestors on the way, but my big concern is, while there's lots of Spine Crawlers, and yet still the worker count really high, which is good for ToXSiK, my concern is the Spire and Hive only just starting in about 14 minutes, which may be a bit late, because obviously if you got them about 12 minutes, they'd be starting to finish up now. And that means your greatest Spire be started, you're going to be fine, whereas in the moment we're looking to have it very, very delayed. And well, looking here, TheoRy, he's getting ready for a big push across. He's not getting Colossi, he's just ready with those High Templar and the Immortals and the Sentries, Stalkers. All of those can start picking stuff up from this high ground here on the 4th base, which will be good. The only concern is, of course, counterattacks, which could be pretty potent. We've got a 4th base attempt coming out from TheoRy, which is going to get denied by that Burrowed Roach. But as you can see, the Protoss player pulling back for the moment. A lot of Spine Crawlers there, actually. Absolutely huge amount. Good number of Spine Crawlers coming up in the natural base as well, so it is good preparation for this Broodlord Infestor play. You need those Spine Crawlers out, it helps your defense massively, and should delay TheoRy quite a while. He won't be able to push into that for a long time. You don't want to engage on that. He's doing the right thing though, getting up the Stargate behind it. That'll go into a Fleet Beacon to get the Mothership up, which ultimately is just your late game composition. He's also got the High Templar there ready in order to get the Archons, which is a nice bit of forward thinking actually, because those Archons absolutely essential in order to deal with the big Broodlord numbers. And are we going to see TheoRy go for this? This, in my opinion, wouldn't necessarily be the best thing to do. We see some vulnerable growth going down, some good force fields preventing the army from engaging, and the higher mortal count is obviously allowing those Spine Crawlers to get taken down exceptionally quickly. The big damage being done, some Immortals are getting picked off, but still there are more there at the moment. And well, this is going to be pretty close. Quite a few of those Infestors getting feedback on them, so they are losing all of their energy. Quite a few more Infested Terrans coming down. One Archon is morphing, some more Archons morphing back behind there though, and the Archon does magically just survive. We've got some more units warping in. TheoRy did some good damage there, but he took a lot of losses actually as well. They're pretty equal in terms of losses on both sides for the moment. Looking around though, obviously the next wave this push could be very, very strong. The Greater Spire is about a third done, so quite a long way away still, but about another 50 seconds. It's half done now, so obviously that's not going to be coming out until, well, about 17.5 minutes into this game. We've got some more Spine Crawlers moving forward. That's the right thing to do. We've got some Blink Stalkers coming down. It's kind of a really nice spread out attack coming down here though. The Spine Crawlers trying to get picked off before they do burrow, but they are able to burrow, and a lot of the Immortals are focusing down the roaches for the moment, but the Spine Crawlers aren't getting focused in any way, shape or form, which is allowing them to do an awful lot of damage. A lot of units getting picked off here by the Spine Crawlers, and to be honest, in theory, this push is losing momentum quite quickly. The only saving grace is that a lot of those Spine Crawlers are still burrowing, and the Immortals are just still able to get so many kills, 12 kills, 13 kills, 6 kills, and of course 7 kills on the last one. This momentum really going in, and obviously if the Spire and Hive had been started 12 minutes, then obviously these Broodlords would already be on the field and would be really helping do this push. But for the moment, it looks like ToXSiK has held off this push. He's still up to the 91 worker mark. I don't know how many have actually been killed. Hardly any workers killed at all at the moment. So this is really going okay. In terms of the loss tab, TheoRy losing a bit more by about 1,000 resources, not a huge amount. A Zergling run by could be coming, but a lot of cannons there. Also quite a few Zealots, so they're not going to be too effective. But now with the Roaches reinforcing, they may have a bit of a better shot. They're coming straight in. Are they going to just focus down the Nexus? It looks like they're going to, and of course the Zergling has a lot of money in the bank, so they can afford to lose units. The Council does not manage to go down there, so that is a big loss for TheoRy at the moment. Quite a few probes coming in as well. A couple of those pylons getting focused down, but that is all fine. Of course, the Broodlords are now going to be the real central part of this play, and TheoRy really going to be forced to pull back and play defensive until the Mothership comes out, because before that point, you're going to really struggle to deal with the Broodlords. The other reason that push didn't matter too much for ToXSiK and the fact that he lost it all is, one, he picked off the 4th base, which keeps him a base up, but also he lost a lot of Roaches, which is good at this stage of the game, because Roaches are very supply heavy for the amount of damage they do, and therefore you need to start thinking, well, hang on, how am I going to get my money back? That one pylon is of course going to scout the base being taken, but in come a couple of Zerglings, but not quickly enough, and I'd almost guarantee a cancel will have to go down on that. The Zerglings are of course 2-2 up against 3-1 Zealots, so those Zealots are going to be able to do a lot of damage. A mass warp in now of an awful lot of Zealots coming in, but a couple of Roaches there as well. They should be able to help clean everything up. Those Roaches are of course 1-2 upgrades. We do have the Protoss army though moving around down towards the 4th base of the Zerg, and that of course is going to be besieged, but for the moment there's a lot of Broodlords there. The Corruptor's able to pick off the War Prism, a couple more Infestors there, and that will force back the Protoss for the moment. Not feeling confident in that. The Mothership is of course, well, coming up to halfway done, which is good. Adrenal glands coming down here for ToXSiK. He's also getting up the +1 flyer carapace, as well as the 3-3 melee upgrades, which will make those broodlings all the more stronger. The infestors quickly trying to run back, do get a fungal growth. A cancel almost certainly going to go down now on this 5th base. There's no way it's going to go down, but in come the broodlords, and could get a nice little trap off here, but a cancel will have to be forced. And I am amazed that one final volley didn't go off there, trying to force the cancel. The hatchery is going to go down, which is an absolute miracle. Good storms though, preventing all of those zerglings from really getting a nice surround. But the broodlords coming in now. How would you deal with this as a Protoss player? Well, I'd say the big thing is that there's a big commitment to broodlord infestor, which is really, really slow. You've already done good damage down here. A multi-prong attack would be absolutely devastating. You get for sure one of these two bases, and all you need really is a pylon here-ish, and you'll be absolutely fine. Some zerglings just running around, trying to take bases spread out, and this is really kind of the only strategy you can go in the more late game as Zerg, is just take bases absolutely everywhere, because you've got a hope then of really just forcing the Protoss Death Ball to go to 1, and you can pin it off and pick it off. Now, obviously the mothership is out. This is the critical piece to the Protoss late game puzzle. It allows you to get those vortex off to try and deal with these high broodlord numbers, but as you can see, 15 broodlords already on the field, and they are getting a lot closer towards that base there. Now we've got a couple more infested Terrans getting just lobbed down, acting as a bit of a shield. A war prism coming in. Broodlords are sieging everywhere, and what is the Protoss going to do? Your two choices are to go and try and engage the Zerg army, or alternatively try and base race, and it looks like TheoRy is going to go for the base race option for the moment here. But the trouble with that is there is a lot of spine crawlers all over the map, and they are just going to help slow things down and give the Zerg more time. This 4th base is gone, massive damage, and the Zerg now happy to pull back, coming to try and defend. He knows he's got this base up here, which is currently being besieged by zealots, and do manage to pick off the base, but of course the rest of that push is cleaned up. The 4th base have both now been picked off, which of course is going to be really, really helpful, and no cancel on the very bottom right base. The 3rd now under siege, and well, we've got ToXSiK rapidly trying to get back, but he's losing so much. He is up with a Death Ball army though, so if he does engage well, he might be okay, because the Protoss player will take a long time to get back, and of course 3,000 minerals in the back. But for the moment, the Zerg player is absolutely gas-starved. We've got more units coming in. We've got a little bit of detection. There's some great feedbacks on the infestors, though. He's going to prevent any fungal growth going down for the moment. And the broodlords just so slow. The broodlords, I'd send them up this way, trying to cut off the Protoss army. That'd be the best move you could probably hope to go for at the moment. A couple of fungal growths go down, but the detection is really lacking at the moment, and that's going to cause problems. The Corruptors focusing down the mothership. A vortex goes off and grabs quite a few broodlords, but not quite all of them. So again, that is not absolutely perfect. The Voidways are getting attacked by the Corruptors, and for the moment it looks like the Protoss army being forced to pull back at the time being anyway. The Corruptors getting a couple more kills. The rest of those broodlords coming out, but no Archons in there to pick them off. So, well, for the moment, who came off worse there? Well, obviously TheoRy does have a new 4th base, and at the moment, ToXSiK is down to 2 hatcheries, or 3 including the macro, but really just the no mining bases at the moment. He's trying to retake them, but he's only retaking a 3rd and obviously the 4th, but this is again causing some problems. He needs to pick off this base, and it's going to get really quite tricky for him to do so, because the Protoss player now needs to utilize his mobility, because after losing the mothership and most of his army, going to really struggle to deal with these broodlords. Getting some voidways out, but the corruptor count not too low. Some more corruptors could be really, really useful in this mix here, especially after you've seen your opponent happy to go for voidways. The corruptors also don't really want to start suiciding, and that's the other problem. You don't want to suicide them straight in, is why you shouldn't put corruptors and broodlords into the same control group if you are able to cope with obviously the additional micro of putting them in separate groups. Looking here, this 4th base getting taken down exceptionally quickly. These broodlords do have the +1 carapace upgrade, and of course the broodlings are with 3-3, so they're doing big damage. The lack of the 4th base now means the Protoss is down to 1 mining base, which obviously does put him pretty equal to the Zerg, who's now just about to get up their additional base. Although Spinecall is going down because of the lack of creep, could have used the Overlords just to spread the creep to keep them alive, which would have been helpful. Obviously, we now have a 5th base coming down, being retaken there. And again, both players nearly maxed out yet again. The mothership will be out in 10 seconds time, and if the engagement goes down before then, it will really, really favour the Zerg player. The mothership absolutely essential, but a good blink forward, but a fungal growth goes down. That's going to allow those broodlords to absolutely destroy those stalkers, and well, there's some good damage being done there. The broodlords do engage incredibly cost effectively because broodlings are always free, and yeah, As you can see, just still TheoRy is in a very defensive position, but the mothership now out. How many corruptors on the field? Because, well, 17, they're going to be able to focus that down quickly, but quite a few voidways there as well. The broodlords need to spread out to avoid the risk of a vortex, but of course not enough energy on the mothership for that yet. The corruptors in here trying to deal damage to the voidways, get good corruptions off, and it looks like for the moment ToXSiK is going to be able to deal with this, the mothership coming in from the side, but just not quickly enough. And there is the GG from TheoRy, and ToXSiK takes it in what was a very highly contested macro game. So guys, if you did enjoy, please leave a cool comment, like the video, and subscribe. But most importantly, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again tomorrow for yet another new cast. So bye for now, and see you then.